Luckily, it didn't make a single hole because it's new. I guess it's the other
Wow.
stuff that got trashed. Because it was almost as big as the last time, not quite as big.
Yeah.
Than my house.
Yeah, it did more damage to our siding and our trim around our windows. Brought the glass that was already broken from before down.
Yeah, me too on that.
Yeah. But
Bring up paint. So it damaged the paint too. I don't think she saw that or anybody saw that, but it damaged her paint. Bring that up.
huh?
Yeah, they're repainting our fence, restaining it.
Yeah. See, well now our fence is falling down, so it'll be a little more than that.
Although tonight's not as extreme for sure.
It doesn't sound like it's going to be, does it?
It doesn't, not quite, but that means it probably will be.
Yeah. Well, all right. Just take your time to sit comfortably. Life is strange, and let your eyes close. Let yourself reach up through the top of your head, and actually see if you can just put your right hand around your belly, somewhere around your navel, and your left hand up on your chest, just for a few breaths. Just enjoy that connection and feel how your hands move when you breathe. Just release, let your hands come on down, wherever's comfortable for your hands to be. And then just watch your breath in and out through your nose. Gradually starting that rocking motion with your breath, letting your exhalations bring you forward and your inhalations bring you back up. Next time you come forward, go ahead and stay there. You can put your hands out there to give you support. You can walk further forward if you want to with your hands. Let your torso come over more. Totally up to you. You know that. Pay attention to your back. And then let's come up enough to walk out over towards our left thigh. Let yourself just come out over the thigh and ease your way out. See if you can think of drawing your right sitting bone back a little bit. And then we'll come on back through center, and we're going to go to the other side. So coming out over the right thigh, drawing the left sit bone back a little bit. And then coming on back into center again. And just walk ourselves on back up. So let your hands, once you get up, come on out beside you, lightly touching the ground here with your fingertips. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And then from here, let's inhale our hands straight out from our shoulders. And then just rotate your palms up. Feel how your shoulders soften down. And let the elbows, really soften down a little bit too. Feel like you're holding something equally in each of your hands there. One more breath. And then bend your elbows so your fingertips can come to the tops of your shoulders. And then let your elbows circle in one direction. Doesn't matter which one. And they can be small circles or they can get bigger and bigger, depending on how your shoulders feel. Just let it be easy. we'll stop so we can reverse directions. So when you're ready to go the other way, again, you can decide to start small and stay small with those circles, or you can get bigger and bigger. Just waking up the shoulders here. Good, and then finish off where the elbows are down towards the ground. And then just unfold your arms on down beside you here now. Bring your hands behind you and either lean back onto your fingertips or maybe flat onto your hands, letting your chest come a little forward, opening through the front body a bit. And then remember which leg you have in front as you come on up, because we're going to reach our legs out long here now. And let yourself just shift a little bit side to side, kind of send your inner thighs down so you get your knees and toes facing up towards the ceiling. And then bring your hands down into staff pose, letting yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. And on your next exhale, twist to your right. Let yourself come on around. I'm going to go ahead and mirror you. Let yourself come around into your twist. Lengthen up. Heels down on the ground. Feeling that twist in the middle of the back. One more inhale. And let your exhale bring you back around through center and go into the other direction. Just letting yourself come on around. Good. One more breath. And then come on back around into center again. And let's let our legs come just a little bit wider. And then come a little bit forward. You can slide your hands down your legs. If you want, you can go all the way to your toes, of course. If you'd rather put your hands on the floor, do. Just opening up through the backs of the legs. And imagine your legs are pretty much pinned down, your inner thighs and your outer thighs, so the knees and the toes still face up. And just wake up through the legs here a little bit, coming forward from the low back. Good, and then we'll come on back up. We're going to bring the other leg in front to come cross-legged. You know, if you don't like to be cross-legged, don't be. You can adjust however you want to. So get comfortable there, and then again, once you sit up nice and tall, think about that rocking motion, that very calming rocking motion with your breath. So just feeling your exhales bring you forward, and your inhales bring you back up. Next time you come forward, again, let yourself stay there. Maybe put your hands there to give you a little support. And we're going to walk over towards our left thigh, and then let your left hand come a little farther to your side so you can open up into side stretch here. And when you do, think of flexing your hand. Let the tips of your fingers face down towards the floor, and just press out into the heel of that hand there. So you really come into a pretty deep side stretch there, all the way into the side waist. And then we'll turn back to look towards the ground as we walk back around through center. And again, as you come out over to the other side, then you're going to bring your right hand a little more behind you and open up into your left side stretch. So again, if you can turn the palm kind of up towards the ceiling, and then really flex the hand, draw the fingers so the tips of the fingers face down, and then press into the heel of your hand. Finding just a little bit more there. Good, and then we're going to come on back into center. So walk yourself on back, and let's stay at center for a couple of breaths. If you know it feels just absolutely wonderful to fold over your legs, maybe even releasing your head down to your hands, that's fine, or a block. If you know that's not good for your back, don't do it. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly make our way on up from here. Once you're up all the way seated tall, take a nice inhale. And on your exhale, draw your navel towards your spine, round into your back. Feel your tailbone curling forward and your sits bones curling forward. And then when you inhale, send your sits bones down and start to roll up through the spine with your head, the last thing to come up. So again, exhale, draw the navel towards the spine. It's like you're doing cat pose, really rounding into your back. Bring your head down, and then when you inhale, tailbone reaches down. Think about rolling up through the spine with that head, the last thing to come up. One more time, exhaling and letting yourself feel the belly working, navel coming towards the spine. And then when you inhale, send your tailbone, sits bones down and roll on back up. Bring your arms on out beside you. Let your hands circle around a little bit one way and the other. And then just let your arms do this. Let your arms cross in front of you with one arm on top and then the other one, all right? So you're just kind of opening. Now, if you feel good to do it, you can send your arms a little further back every time. So you really feel that chest opening if you bring the arms back further behind you. And they can be any height that you want. You can just keep switching which arm you put on top. Good. And then finish off. Come on back with the arms on down. And we're going to come around towards our hands and knees. So, you know, if you do not want to be on your knees, do not be on your knees. If you need to have your hands off the floor, not putting that deep wrist crease in them, go ahead, come to your forearms on your blocks or on the floor if you want to. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Let your head hang for a second and come into a little cat pose, not extreme, but you're just rounded up into your back and let your head just turn a little bit side to side. So you're just looking under one arm kind of and then under the other one. And then come on back into neutral. Come on back to neutral spine here now. And then we're going to start to move through cat-cow. So ease your way through at your own speed here. Whether you like to stay in cat or cow for a bit without moving, or whether you like to continuously flow between these two poses and just enjoy that movement through the spine. Good. And then finish off the one that you're on. We'll come on back to more neutral spine here now. Let's come down onto our left forearm where it's parallel to the front edge of the mat and stretch our right arm overhead and bring our head down onto our forearm. Let your chest melt down towards the ground. So your hips are way up, right? Your belly is kind of melting down and your chest is melting down. Feel that openness in the upper back there. And then bring your right hand back so you can press yourself up. And we're just going to go to the other side. So again, as you come on to that right forearm parallel to the front edge of the mat and you reach your left arm out overhead, your head can come down to the arm. Let your heart melt down. Let that openness happen there. Good. Now from there, see if you can bring both arms overhead. All right. Let your head come to the floor. Keep your hips up, but let your chest melt down with both arms overhead. Your hips can shift back a little bit if that's better. Good. And then slide your hands back by your head so you can press up. Your hands are forward of your shoulders. You're going to just shift forward like you're coming in towards a cobra, really, all right? And you only go as far as you want, letting your chest come forward, elbows hugging in. And then shift back again with the hips. Let yourself shift back, not all the way to child's pose, but kind of towards child's pose, lengthening through your spine. And then come back again into that little bit of a back bend. So if you can let your hips sink down and your chest come forward, only go as far as you want, though. You don't have to go all this far. And then shift back again with your hips. Again, you're not really going into full child's pose. You're just letting yourself release the back and the hips. And then one more time. We'll flow on out and come on forward with the chest, letting yourself come where you need to be. And then come on back again. In towards like a little, not quite child's pose. Good. And then from here, come on back forward. Adjust your knees and your hands because we're going to curl our toes under and lift up and back into a downward facing dog pose. So take your time, walk your dog a little bit. Let your head turn a little side to side. Feel like kind of loose in your dog. You know what I mean? Just like loose, like it's easy, it's natural. Your body's kind of wanting to wiggle around, do anything that feels good. Open up the backs of the legs. Really enjoy feeling your shoulders as your elbows hug in. And then we're going to bring our knees right back down so we can step our left foot forward and come on into our first lunge. So you know if you like your blocks under your hands, get your blocks. Come on up with that back knee. Get yourself aligned here. Feel your shoulders drawn down away from your ears. Good. And now come into a straighter front knee. Let that right heel just descend down towards the mat back there. Really get into your calf. Let it feel pretty good. Check out your left foot. Make sure you're not rolling on the foot, right, to the outside of it. Feel the big toe mound, the little toe mound into the floor. You can even float your toes up a little bit if it helps. And then come on back into bending that front knee, coming back into your lunge. And we're going to switch legs. So once you get that right foot forward and you kind of get into the stance you like, take your time. Really be comfortable in that front knee. Make sure you're not going too far forward with the knee. And then we'll come into straightening that front leg out. And again, just really enjoy the left heel descending towards the floor. Take time to appreciate the right foot on the floor and feel that equality between the big toe mound and the little toe mound. Again, if it helps to float your toes up a little bit, but try not to do the big toe lift thing up. Just like they just barely come off the floor. And then when they come back down, it's just as easy as can be. We're going to bend that front knee and come on back into lunge. And we'll step forward from here. Coming on into standing forward bend, feet hips distance apart and parallel. And be really mindful, whatever works for you today. If you need to find some length, keep those blocks under your hands, do. If you need to put your elbows above your knees. And actually here, see if you can bend both your knees pretty equally, right? And then lift your heels up with your knees bent. So you're right there on the balls of your feet. And then straighten your legs out. So you're up, your heels are still up, and now your legs are straight. You're on the balls of the feet, and then you're going to lower your heels back down to the ground. And then we'll just reverse that. We're going to lift the heels up, legs are straight. Then we're going to bend both the knees. Then we're going to put our heels down to the floor. Knees are still bent. And then we're going to fold into our forward bend however you like. So if you need to keep your knees bent, do, or if you like to have straighter legs. Come into your Uttanasana, feeling your breath. Really focusing on those easy breaths in and out. And as we from here bring our hands up to our hips, we're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose, you know, adjust however you need. If you need to figure out whether your feet are in the right place or whether your clothes are adjusted right, do it and get yourself easy to look forward, letting your hands come together in front of your chest. And for a second, look down at your hands and then keep your pinkies and your thumbs together, but let the rest of your fingers come apart like you're making a little bowl with your hands. So you can look down and you can see like right there between your palms. You can feel connected when you're with your pinkies and your thumbs. And then just bring your gaze back forward, keeping your hands here in this mudra, and just enjoy that little connection there, the outer edges of your hands, up into your thumbs and your pinkies. Almost like you're receiving something into your heart here now. And then we'll release to bring the hands all the way together here. And let's inhale the hands right on up through the midline. Now, if you can, separate the hands, but let the tips of the fingers and thumbs touch when your arms are overhead here. And if it's possible for you to slowly start to look up towards your hands, do. If not, don't do it. One more inhale. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings and bend your knees as you come into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. Enjoy the whole body right here. And we'll step our right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into our downward facing dog pose. So find that dog again. Adjust how you need. Walk, wiggle around. Really spread your fingers wide now. Really feel your hands equal on the mat. And then take your time. When you come on out to plank, let yourself get set in your plank. Let your feet be just where is the easiest place for you to be for your plank. And then we're going to come back to down dog. Don't move your hands or your feet as you reach back into down dog. So elbows hug in. Let yourself feel the feet pressing away from each other like you're trying to widen your mat. Feel your hips here now. Imagine your inner thighs melting their way behind you. Good. And on the next inhale, let's come out to plank again. And then we're again going to come back to down dog. And we are going to do that one more time. Inhaling our way out to plank, and this time as we exhale, we're going to lower down, so you can put your knees down first if you want. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's come onto our forearms into a little Sphinx pose here. At first, turn your palms to face each other. Let your pinkies be down on the floor, on the ground, and let the palms face each other. Let yourself just feel this ease in your shoulders there. Feel the belly engaged. Good. One more breath. And then lower yourself down, head down to the floor. See if you can now bring your hands behind you and clasp them on your low back. Now it doesn't really matter where, just clasping your hands easily. And then on your next inhale, rise your head and maybe your legs up a little bit. Now if you want to go ahead and lift your hands up off your back a little too, you can straighten your arms out, lift your hands up a little bit too, as high as you want to go. And then we're going to come all the way back down and bring our hands by our chest. We're going to come on back into down dog, whether you come through a half or a full push-up, totally up to you as you come back into your down dog. When you inhale, let your heels rise way up. When you exhale, let them come back down. Do that 2 more times where those inhales rise you up, the exhales bring you down. Good. And then stay in your dog for a breath. Really feel your elbows hugging in. Really feel your feet pressing away from each other. And we will bring our right foot forward to come into lunge, whether you need to put your left knee down to get there or not, doesn't matter. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Go right to your breath. Use whatever support you need. And then just be easy to feel the breaths coming in and going out through your nose. Now imagine you're breathing equally in and out through both sides. If you've got some allergies going on like I do, I know it's sometimes a little more difficult to breathe through one side of the nose, but just use your imagination. Feel very equal, balanced. Good, and then we'll bend our knees. We're going to bring our hands up to our hips and come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right on up through the midline. And then from here, clasp your hands, send your palms up towards the ceiling. Press up into the heels of your hands. And let's come over towards the left. And let yourself press up into the heel of that right hand a little more. Really feel the right foot on the floor. I mean, you'll feel your left one too, but focus on your right foot as you press up into the heel of the right hand. And then come on back up to the top, and we'll go to the other side. So as you press into the left heel of the left hand, left foot. Think about your left foot on the floor. Feel that beautiful stretch through the side of the body. And then we'll come on back up to the top again. One more inhale. And as you exhale, release your arms. Let yourself come on forward, back to standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice flat back again. However you need to, wherever you want your hands to go. And we will step our left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale, exhale into downward facing dog. Good, so find that dog again, feel your hands. If you need to look at your hands, if you have any doubt about whether the hands are kind of equal, just look at them, right? Sometimes one gets a little farther forward than the other or more turned out. Think of your pointer fingers being about parallel to each other. Good, now let's come on out to plank here. Now let's put our right knee down. Even if you usually do a full side plank, put your right knee down. Use your right foot like a kickstand. And bring your left hand up to your left hip as you turn into that little side plank variation. Now if your right hand doesn't feel quite in the right place, adjust it so you can lift your left foot off the floor back there. See if you can go ahead and stretch your left arm up. Now you've got a little balance going on. You're working on your core right here. And then see if you can bend that left knee. Maybe reach back with your left hand and get hold of your left foot. And then press the foot a little into your hand. So you get into your quad. If you're starting to lose your balance, kind of press into that kickstand of the right foot a little bit. And you got to use your belly. And then stretch that arm and leg back long again. And we're going to come on back down with the hand, with the knee. And we're going to switch. Kickstand the left foot. And let your right hand come onto your right hip. Stretch the right arm up overhead. And now again, if you don't feel like that left hand is right, adjust when you lift that right foot up. You'll be able to tell if you're getting too far forward with your shoulder over the hand, right? And then if you can bend the right knee and reach back and get hold of the top of your foot, pressing the foot into your hand. Now press into that left top of that toe a little bit and engage your belly. And then we'll stretch the arm and the leg back long. Good. And then we're going to bring the hand and the knee down. We're going to shift back towards pose of a child here. Let yourself really reach your arms long overhead. Hug your elbows in towards each other. Really spread your fingers nice and wide right here. And then on the next inhale, come on up to all fours and back into your downward facing dog pose. Good. Let's come out for plank from here. And now see if you can just let your hips come down. You don't have to go into a full up dog with your toes curl under, but just a little bit. Maybe you do want to go all the way through with the chest. Totally up to you. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. We're going to bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And then we're going to come all the way back into standing forward bend. Bend both your knees for a second. Lift both your heels up again like we did before. See if you can straighten your legs out with your heels up. Look at your feet now. Make sure you're not rolling to the pinky or the big toe side of that foot there, either one of them. And then bring your heels on back down. Let the knees soften if you need. If you like to hold your elbows, go for it. Wherever you want your arms to go. And then we'll release our hands back up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Unfolding our arms beside us here. Let's let our inhale rise the arms out and up. And let our exhale bring us forward. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. And exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. And let your inhale carry you to plank. Your exhale will lower you down. And we'll inhale into a cobra of choice, how high you want to go. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up to the top. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale, nice long back. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. Inhale. Exhale into down dog. Inhaling out to that plank. Letting your exhale lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. and exhale back to down dog. Inhale, exhale left foot forward to lunge, and inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top, and let your exhale carry you forward again. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to come to down dog. Place your hands. You can jump or walk your way into dog. Spread those fingers. Wag your tail if you want. Turn your head side to side. In other words, be kind of playful. Let your body do whatever it feels like doing. Doesn't have to look like some certain way, right? Good. Now once we find our way into our full dog, we're going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two, and you may want to get your blocks handy there by the front of your mat. So lining up your heels, getting into that length of stance where you feel comfortable to be. Just enjoy. And let your shoulders stay down for a second, your arms hang down. And see about lifting your shoulders into these easy little circles a bit. So just letting the shoulders circle one direction, and then reverse. Let them go the other way. And then see if you can release the shoulders down away from your ears and start to float your arms on up into your warrior two arms. Reaching out through the fingertips. Now feel your feet equal in the floor. See if you can imagine you're trying to make your mat a little longer with your feet so you feel that really strength coming up into your hips, into your belly. Good. We're going to turn the left palm up and inhale, coming into our reverse warrior. If you could slide your right hand a little more down your leg back there, do. And let yourself breathe into the left ribs. And on your next exhale, come on into your side angle. So you can use your forearm on your thigh, your hand if you want. You can bring that right arm up into line, if possible, with the right side of the body. So enjoy feeling that length now through both sides of your body. Imagine the outer left hip drawing back a little bit, so you have even more length in the underside of the body. Now turn to look down at the floor. We're going to put our left hand down where we want for triangle. So you may want to use your leg. You know me, I like to use a block. And then start to lengthen and watch that left leg as you lengthen it. See if the right arm can just end up right up overhead, right above your shoulder. You're still looking down. Try to lift both your toes, sets of toes up, back and front, so you can really feel the four corners of your feet. And then lower your toes on back down. Turn your head now to look towards the long edge of your mat. So feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. If you want to keep turning to look up towards the ceiling, you can, or towards your top hand. Just enjoy coming into your triangle pose here. Feeling your whole body in the pose. Beautiful. And one more breath here. Now, we're going to bend the front knee a little bit and rise back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other, coming back into that warrior two. Shoulders soften down. Let yourself release there into the length of your arms, but with the shoulders not becoming all tense, right? And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. Adjust how wide you want your stance. And then come on, grab your blocks if you want them, of course. Come on forward into a wide-legged forward bend. Once you get there, let your hands walk over towards the right. Just for a second, stay there for a breath. And then come back through center and walk over towards the left. And you can have your blocks under your hands. You don't have to have hands on the floor. And then come on back into center. And go ahead and let your knees bend one at a time. So adjusting now more into your legs and your hips. So really be mindful as you shift from one side to the other. Obviously, if something bothers your knees, don't do it. Good, and then come on back into center. Have your hands either on blocks or the floor, right underneath you so your spine is long, right? Knees can stay bent, they can be straighter, that's up to you, but let your knees be equally bent if they're bent, right? And then from here, we're going to bring our right hand up to our low back and roll that right shoulder up, hand right down on the sacrum, finding that twist, pressing the feet now gently away from each other. And let your inner thighs melt back behind you. And then we're going to release that hand back down, and we're going to go the other side. So just rolling the shoulder up and having the hand down just so you can check out the alignment there. Good. And then we'll come on back down again. And now just take your time. Adjust your way into where you want to stay in this pose. If you want to grab blocks to have underneath your forearms or your head, maybe you feel like you want to walk your hands back between your feet or hold your ankles. Maybe you want to put your elbows above your knees to support yourself, right? So just be with your breath. Nice, easy breaths. Good. One more nice breath here. And then we're going to walk our hands back out. We're going to walk back to our left foot. Come on back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times. Press into the top of your toes so you really get into stretching out the tops of your feet. Good, and then come on back to dog and get your feet a little closer together and wrap your right foot around behind your left ankle. So you're just standing on your left foot. So that's going to give you a little bit more there in the back of that leg, and the calf especially, and behind the knee. And then go ahead and undo that one and put the right foot down and wrap your left foot around behind your right ankle. So it's real low. It's just getting you into that one leg. Feel equal in your hands. Hug your elbows towards each other. Good. Let's come on back to our full dog. And now let's come on out to plank. Walk a little bit in your plank. And then decide whether you want to come from this plank into a back bend of any kind. And do it the way you want. So there you are. If you come back to plank, you want to come through for an up dog without bending your elbows, you can. If you want to come from that plank through chaturanga, come into your back bend that way. Maybe you just want to do push-ups and you don't want to even do a back bend. So finish off and meet back in down dog. Good. And then once you're in your dog, just for fun, walk your feet towards the outside edges of your mat. And go like one little bit at a time till you get to where, okay, I'm there. My pinkies and the next toe are on the floor on each side, right? My other 3 toes are on my mat. Press back out of your hands, hug your elbows towards each other. Let your heart melt down towards the ground. Good. And then see if you can just bring your feet right back underneath you into your dog. And we're going to bring our left foot forward and come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. So just be mindful here. Relax. Breathe. Really feel the breath coming in and going out. Take care of your wrists. We did an awful lot right there. So really take care of your wrists. Good. Good. One more breath. And then from here, we're going to step our left foot back, and we're going to come up for warrior 2 right from here. So rising yourself on up. Now you might not need to get your blocks back handy, so if you scooted them around from there, go right ahead and get your blocks back handy. Bend into that front knee. Get yourself aligned. Get really mindful of how far apart your feet are. And again, let your arms hang. Let your shoulders do these easy little circles. Don't think too hard about it. Just let them circle one way. And then let them circle the other. Good. Shake your arms out a little bit now. Really feel the heaviness of your arms for a second. But then, when you start to float them up, they feel light. So as you start to float your arms on up and out and you bring your gaze out over the top of that right hand, you can feel that lightness there. You can feel your shoulders melting down. It's like your arms are being held up from underneath. Nice. We're going to turn the right palm up. Left hand comes down and let the left hand slide down as you go back a little bit if you can into that reverse warrior. Good. And on your next exhale, come on into that side angle. So again, you can put your hand or your forearm on your thigh. You can add that left arm up into line. You can, if you choose, keep your left hand down on your hip. You know that. Be mindful of your shoulder. Feel the length through both sides of the body. Beautiful. Now as you start to turn to look at the floor, we're going to put our hand down so that we can go right into triangle here. So I like the block. You may want to use your leg, but watch your knee as it straightens out. Let yourself come into straightening through that front knee. Left arm just continues to kind of go straight up from your shoulder. And then you can turn your head. You can turn your head to look towards the long edge of your mat or up. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. Enjoy that. Enjoy that sense of, oh man, I'm so engaged in my legs and all the way up into my hips. So protective of the knees. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the right knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Pressing those feet away from each other as we come. Softening the shoulders down. And then we're going to bring our hands down. We're going to turn again where we're coming for that wide-legged forward bend. So take your time, grab your blocks if you want them. And this time, once you get your hands down, go ahead and do the bending of the knee at a time. And ease your way to where you can just find a little bit more release for yourself in your legs and your hips. If you like to turn your toes out and do those, you can do that. You can turn your toes out and shift that way. Go down towards the ground if you want with your hips. So just kind of play for a little bit here. Just being really mindful how your hips and your knees feel, right? Good. And then make your way back into center where our feet are more parallel again. And we're going to walk our hands out for that same little twist we did before, except we're going to try to add the arm this time. So, you know, you might want to put a block under your hand. Sometimes that makes it a little bit easier for me, but I don't know. So you got a long back. Left hand is going to stay down. Right hand is going to come to your hip. You're going to roll your shoulder up at first, finding that flatness in your sacrum. And then see about adding the right arm up. Now, if you won't go up to the ceiling, even if you just bring it out straight from your shoulder a little more, you're still using your shoulder a little bit more that way. Good, and then bring that hand on back down. Looking to the left here now, bringing the left hand to your low back, rolling that shoulder up. There's the twist. You're still flat on your sacrum. And if you can lift the left arm up, and if it won't go straight up, you know, it can come out a little bit, just using your shoulder a little bit more. Nice. Beautiful. And then come on back down. Man, go to where you want in this pose. Stack yourself blocks up if you want. Get yourself comfortable. Be able to be with your breath now here without feeling any, like you're holding stress in your upper body. Instead, you're just letting everything go. Feeling the breath coming in and going out. Feeling the movement of the ribs as you inhale and exhale. Now let your face go. Let your jaw go. One more breath. Good. And then from here, we're going to walk ourselves back out enough so we can walk back to our right foot, come on back into our lunge, and back into our down dog. And actually, final vinyasas or kriyas here. So if you want to do any more, go for it now. If you want to come in, out to plank, you want to move through into a back bend, maybe you don't want to do any of that, maybe you want to stay in your dog, maybe you want to just come to plank and back to dog, maybe you want to do some push-ups, or maybe you want to come into child's pose. Good. And then when you're ready, Finishing off both sides. If you were doing one side, make sure you do both, right? And then we'll meet back in down dog. Good. And from dog, think about bending your knees really deeply, belly coming towards your thighs, and you can decide whether you want to jump or walk your way towards the front of your mat, coming into standing forward bend, making your way into Uttanasana there, getting your feet really easily apart. If your back allows you and you have the stretch to be able to put your fingers under your toes with your hands on top of your feet, just kind of slip, your fingernails are down towards the ground, you're just slipping your fingers over your toes. Your thumb can kind of come around the big toe a little bit. And then just press the toes into the fingers and feel the fingers squeezing into your toes. Right? So it's like you're giving your toes a hug, in a way. And the toes are kind of hugging back. So just appreciating your feet there for a second, but especially the toes. One more breath. And then when you release the toes and let them soften down towards the ground, see how that feels. Bring your hands on up to your hips. And we're going to rise gently up to standing. Feel your feet in the floor there now. And inhale your arms all the way out and up. And on your exhale, let your hands come down together in front of your heart. And enjoy your mountain pose here. Actually, let your hands just barely touch. They're just barely coming together there. Very, very lightly touching, right? And let yourself try to feel that same sense of lightness in your upper body. So your head's floating up there, your shoulders feel nice and open, but really easily. And you're, of course, grounded through your feet, but finding that ease of being in your mountain pose. And then we'll go ahead and unfold our arms on down beside us and shake out a little bit. Move around, whatever you need to do. We're going to bring our mats into a wall. We have room. So if anybody wants to come up here, I'll move this over, but somebody can be right here if they want. You can get 1, 2, 3 over there. And if somebody needs to come up here, they can come up here. We're going to stay at the wall, so just bring everything with you. Make sure you have your straps and all that stuff. You got room back over there? Okay. Okay. Wow, okay. There you go. That looks like a little more room. Yeah, that's a pretty tiny space over there where you were looking at. All right, so we're going to play a little bit with pyramid with our hands at the wall and a little bit of coming into warrior 3 with hands to the wall. But we'll start with stepping our right foot back, our left foot forward, bringing our hands to the wall. Now, whether you go this far into being parallel to the floor in your pyramid pose is up to you. If you feel like, yeah, no, that's not happening, you can stay up higher. You can bend your elbows like this so that you come farther with your torso, but you don't put so much into your shoulders, too. In other words, there's a lot involved in this, right? You've got your shoulders going on. You've got your legs, obviously. Now, think about your pelvis. So think about that. If you can, bring your left hand to check out the alignment of your pelvis. So making sure you're fairly level. The tendency is to want to drop into, usually it's the front foot that you drop into, not always. So leveling out your hips. Think about your drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other. So that in itself is pretty telling. And usually if you think about, those hip pointer bones, I'm going to draw them towards each other, but I'm going to reach back through my tailbone. Then you really get into that flatness, that evenness of the hips. Good. So one more breath there, lengthened out through the spine. Good alignment here. Now glance up at your hands, make sure one's not a whole bunch higher than the other. Come back, one more breath into the pose. There you go. And then we're only going to step forward to switch legs. So it ought to feel like a pretty big relief to bring yourself to the other side. So again, take your time. Remember, you all were very well aligned. In pyramid pose, you can have your heels in a line, or you can have your feet a little apart like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. And there was both going on in here. They're both fine to do. Feel that flatness of the back. Feel equal through your hands, and let yourself feel equal through the sides of your body. And feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Feel that back heel grounded, but imagine your arches of both feet lifting up. So, I mean, even if you don't, if you're kind of flat-footed, you don't really have much of an arch, just imagine you do, that it's lifting away from the floor. Good. One more breath. And then walk yourself on back in towards the wall for a second. Swing your arms around a little bit. And now we're going to come into a dog with hands at the wall. Now you may want to be about parallel to the floor. I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to come into the dog, right? We're going to get ourselves lined up. We're going to bring a foot up in the air like this for warrior 3. But then, now watch this part, you're going to come up and let yourself be up, bring your arms overhead, and then bring that foot back again, and start to release into your warrior 3, reaching towards the wall, which is actually really hard, until you get into that same warrior 3 again, right? So you get yourself set with how far your arms are away from the wall in your dog first. And then, once you're comfortable there, now that doesn't mean you have to be parallel to the floor, right? You can be a little higher. But you do want your feet right underneath you. You've got to have your feet right underneath you, not behind your hips. And that way, when you rise that right foot up into warrior 3, you might have to kind of adjust a little bit. Like, you might feel like your hands are not quite right, too. Because if you have that if you rise your right leg up and your left hand is too far into the center, you might need it to go a little to the left. It balances you out a little bit. Now the hard part from here is standing up without moving your feet. Coming up from the wall and bringing yourself right up to standing, push off the wall and get yourself up. There you go. And then play a little bit. Put the right foot behind you, bring your arms overhead. And now you're going to think about bringing yourself towards the wall for your warrior 3, putting the hands there when you choose, and coming into warrior 3 from standing. Oh my gosh, you guys make that look a lot easier than I do. Oh man, that's kind of amazing. Okay. I thought it was hard. So if you can come back up again from that one, try it. And that's core. Trying to come back up from there without pushing too much out of your hands, but really making it smooth is core. Okay, bring the hands back again to the wall. We're going to do the other leg. So setting up in your dog. And then again, when you lift the left leg up, you'll know if you've got the right supporting leg in the right place. All of you look really good, actually. Think of the pinky toes facing down. Really find that warrior 3. This is a hard way to do warrior 3, I know. Good. And then again, when you think of coming to standing, it's like, you've got to use your core and your hands press off the wall a little bit. That helps. And you come on back up to standing, but stay where your feet were, because that's going to be the lineup, right, for coming into warrior 3. Put the left foot behind you now. Start to bring yourself forward, arms reaching towards the wall when you're ready, and catching yourself when you get into that warrior 3. Adjusting your hips. Good. Flexing through that back foot. Nice. Again, if your hands feel funky, wonky, kind of look at them. Nice. When you've had entirely enough of that, come on up, turn your back to the wall. Let yourself come down into a squat of choice, right? So you may want to squat up high. You actually, you might want to stack blocks up and sit on blocks if coming down into squat feels not so good. Or some of you might want to use the wall and be upright in your squat, but let your heels come down and squat that way. So, that's up to you. If that doesn't feel good, don't do it. If the support of the wall like that doesn't feel good. well, since we're all down, it's just really easy to do this. We'll come on forward, bring our toes to touch the wall back here, shift back into pose of a child, stretch your arms long overhead, and then we'll come up to all fours. And we're going to go ahead and curl our toes under, come into down dog with our heels up the wall. Next is optional. Put a right foot up the wall if you can. Curl your toes under. Now, if you want, you can walk your hands back more towards the wall, coming up in towards like a split up the wall. You don't have to do that part, but if it feels kind of fun, you can. You don't have to go all the way into a split, obviously. And then, of course, if you're up there, you got to walk your hands back, put your foot down. If you need to put your knees down and rest before you do the other side, do. Yeah? And if you don't, then you can go right away to the other side. And I know a lot of you are going, I am not doing that. So, you know, come down to your forearms if you'd rather. You don't have to do the walking the hands thing. It's only if you want a little more stretch to your hamstrings. Go to the forearms anytime you choose. You know that. If your hands, your wrists are bothering you, don't do it. Switch onto your forearms if you'd rather. If you don't want to be upside down anymore, don't be. So just play where you can. Rest how you need, child's pose or resting, sitting up, you know that. Just be mindful of listening to your body. Good. So, take your time. We're going to come up and around to sitting from here. And we're going to need a couple of things handy. You may want to have a blanket handy in case you want to sit on it. And you may want to have a, strap handy. So, we're going to come into a little either half cow face or cow face, both with arms and legs, all right? So to do half cow face, you can cross your left thigh over your right. You know, if this is too much, you can do figure four. It's fine. You can be here. You can fold that bottom leg up under and think about trying to get yourself with your knees close to being in line. Remember, sitting up on a blanket in this pose definitely makes it more doable, all right? So, I mean, and that does not mean you're weak for sitting on a blanket, right? To get it, it just helps your hips to feel a little bit better, right? So, take your time. If you don't like the full one, don't do it. Keep one leg long. If you like the full one and you can kind of, and even if you're not totally even, it doesn't matter. If you can get your hands to the bottoms of your feet for a second, do. And lengthen up through the top of your head. And then see if you can come just a little bit forward, right? So it's a different story if one leg's long, because that way then the hamstring just goes, oh, hello. But if you got both your knees bent, it's definitely into the hips, right? So be where you can. Let it feel kind of like a relief. Good. And then come on back up. Now you may want to get your strap, you may not. We're going to bring the right arm up overhead and bend the elbow. We're going to bring the left hand behind us. So if you're using your strap, you'll just hold it with your right hand, okay? So that the left hand can reach back and get it too. And maybe you want to let your hands walk closer together on the strap. That's up to you. If you already feel good about reaching your hands, keeping them far apart, you don't want to walk them together, don't do it. You can keep the hands apart. Just think about the shoulders here. You can, if you want, get your hands to hold each other back there. Keep your gaze forward. Let that openness happen there through the chest. There's that curve in the upper back, that natural curve that we don't want to end up going the other way, so we end up like this. So try to just enjoy, and that shoulders are very important in this. One more breath. And then let your arms release on down. Good. Roll your shoulders a little bit. And we're gonna switch our legs out. So take your time as you stretch your legs out. Remember, for the half cow face, the right thigh would come on top. Maybe you want to stay right there, or maybe you want to do more like a figure 4. Maybe you want to fold that bottom leg up under you. And, you know, attempt to kind of get your feet on the same line, but, you know, it doesn't matter if they are. If you can put your hands on your feet because that feels good, that connection, you can. And again, if you can come forward a little bit. Just letting yourself release and breathing. Good, and then easily coming on back up. And again, if you like the strap, it's getting the strap in your left hand because the left arm is up overhead, and then you can reach with the right hand to get the strap, and then you can decide, well, I want to kind of get my hands closer together on the strap and feel my chest opening, feel my gaze coming forward, and just let yourself really enjoy finding what you can for your shoulders without forcing, right? If your elbow needs to come down, let your elbow come down or out, right? If you know it's too much in the bottom arm, don't go so high up your back with the bottom arm. You know, because sometimes it's that shoulder that's really glitchy, the bottom one, right? So just be easy as you can about staying with your gaze forward. Feeling that sense almost of leading with your heart. And then when you're ready to come down, just be mindful. Let yourself release on down. Put the strap on off. And again, you know, shoulders, you want to roll through them a little bit, We're going to start to stretch our legs out long and take them a little bit towards the corners of our mat there. And just reach forward just to give yourself a little stretch out afterwards. Come on forward with your back and feel the backs of your legs and just enjoy coming into release there. And then we're going to come on back up, and we're going to make our way down onto our backs now on the floor. So be easy as you come on down. Let your knees bend and your feet come to the floor. And for a second, let your arms go softly overhead. I mean, you know, and if you're close to the wall, just let the elbows bend, but let the arms kind of be up overhead. And then just, if possible, if this doesn't feel good, don't do it. But if possible, start with a little pelvic tilt, and then just let yourself sequentially roll one vertebrae at a time off the floor, a rolling bridge. And then when you're ready, just roll on back down, feeling the belly really working to keep you moving through one vertebrae at a time. And I know some people do not like to do this at all with their spine. If that is you, don't do it. If it feels good, do it. If not, if you'd rather do a regular bridge pose, do a regular bridge pose. If those rolling bridges feel kind of good, you just want to do a couple of them, do. And then if you decide you'd rather come into a bridge pose supported on blocks, or you'd rather come into a regular bridge pose with your arms beside you, or in your robot arms, of course. Or if you want to push up into a full upward facing bow pose. Just take your time. Just play. You may want to do something entirely different. If there's something entirely different that is calling to you right now, go right ahead and do it. If you need another form of a twist, if you need to let yourself come into your body wants to do it. There isn't any right or wrong, as we all know. Just take time to appreciate how your body feels so that when you do come into Shavasana, you'll kind of realize if you need a little support, right? You'll realize if you need a little support of anybody would like a bolster.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm on the lookout for waves, for needs. You got the blocks there if you want to support in Baddha Konasana, if you want a blanket I can bring you to lie back on, or a blanket for under your head. Anything at all. So take your time. If you need to wiggle your way into Shavasana, do. Letting your shoulders release down, your arms and your legs feel not exactly heavy, but relaxed, right? Your arms and legs feel relaxed, and that helps your shoulders and your hips release a little deeper. And then just be with your own breath. And you know, whatever helps you do that, there is no right or wrong. Counting mantras, thinking a word when you inhale, a different one when you exhale, whatever helps you. Because your mind is going to wander off. And if you can just keep returning to your breath, and you allow yourself to really relax a little more and more and more deeply. You give your body and your brain time to benefit from all you just did. And just allow yourself these few minutes to completely and fully relax. become aware of the ground underneath you, supporting your head. Allowing your breath to come in and go out more fully but easily, so that you still just feel the movement of the body now as you breathe in and out, and have yourself come back to feeling physical so you can want to move again. Your fingers, your toes, your hands, your feet. And let your body do what feels good to you, whether you need to stretch or bend or roll to either side. Giving yourself this time. Feel like you're okay to rise up to sitting. Let yourself get comfortable in how you sit so it becomes really natural to start to get your head up there again on top of the spine, and you feel that length of your spine supporting you. And you can feel your sitting bones reaching down towards the ground. Let your hands come to an easy place so that your shoulders feel nice and wide and open. Coming back to your breath, in and out. And on your next exhale, let your hands just gently come to meet in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Maybe Tom find his.
He did not.
Oh, come on.
And he came back like, I can't, 5, 6 times. I looked and looked and looked.
I was afraid to back